Welcome. In this video, I will be showing you how I weave 3 different kinds of rope armor. The first weave is the Conquistador weave. It is used to make lightweight slash-proof plates similar to leather armor. The second weave is the Rosebud weave. It is a decorative slash-proof weave that requires time and patience to put on and remove. The third weave is the Warlock weave. It is a slash-proof quick release weave that is easy to put on and even easier to take off. To begin the Conquistador weave, you will need a rod with stoppers the same distance apart as the size of the beginning of your project. Start by wrapping the rod from bottom to top towards the direction you are planning to weave. You will need enough excess cord to wrap the rod and send the cord back through the loops you just wrapped. Once you have tightened the initial loops, you will put your fid onto the working end of the cord. In this video, I am making an octagon plate using about 45 feet of reflective red 550 paracord. The most basic rule for weaving the Conquistador weave is that the needle or fid should point the opposite direction that you are weaving. Place the fid halfway through the loop, then fold the cord over to the left before continuing through the loop. There are many videos explaining this weave, and it is a difficult one to begin to learn. It is easy once you learn it, but getting the hang of it can be tricky. I myself had to watch multiple different tutorials before I understood what was going on. I will pin a link in the comments to the best tutorial I found, just in case my own video isn't clear enough. When pulling the cord through the knot, twist as you pull to undo any developing kinks. I found it is effective after every knot to pinch the cord and pull it through your fingers back to the working end to prevent kinks from developing. Once you reach the top, remember that the fid points the opposite direction that you are weaving. So place the fid pointing up halfway through the loop, then fold the cords over the left as you pull the knot tight. A single row of the Conquistador weave is technically 2 rows weaved, one up and one down. So, before altering the pattern to expand or shrink the overall size of the weave, be sure to complete an up and down weave first. To expand the weave, on the bottom beginning loop, place 2 loops into it. Continue with 1 loop per loop until you reach the top, where you will again place 2 loops. On the way back down, only do 1 loop to each loop onto completion of the down section of the row. Continue expanding with 2 loops only on the first loop and the last loop of the up row of the pattern. When shrinking the pattern, skip the first bottom loop and the top loop on your way up, but be sure to loop into every loop on your way back down. Finish the project by cutting off excess cord and searing it flat, locking itself in the knot. This particular project was for a feng shui mirror decoration. It's not armor, but it shows the plate-like quality of the weave. The next weave is the Rosebud weave. It is a decorative slash-proof weave that will require practice for the best results. I did this with 27 feet of sisal rope about 5 millimeters thick. Begin by finding the halfway point of the rope and anchor it around your thumb. Wrap the cord around the outside of your wrist, bringing it into the inside. To make the first rosebud, pinch both cords and fold them in on themselves so the working end overlaps on top of the curled loop. Complete the first rosebud knot by passing the working end of the cords over the loop into it and under the second half of the loop. Make necessary adjustments as you go because it is harder to correct the weave once it is finished. The next rosebud knot will be in the opposite direction. Pinch both cords and fold them in on themselves so that the working end goes underneath the curled loop. Complete the second rosebud knot by passing the working end of the cords underneath the loop into it and out on top of the loop. Again, make adjustments as you go and continue the pattern that has now developed. The first knot loops over itself and the working end goes top into the loop and out the bottom. The next knot loops under itself and the working end travels under the loop into it and out the top. A simple way to remember which end the working end travels is that it always goes over the overlapping portion of the loop. Most of the footage did not work out for the second knot in the pattern. I slow it down here to show you the best I can on how to twist it over itself, and then I pin it to the desk so that I can continue to weave. Complete the weave by passing excess cord through the final loop, doubling the cord within it, and tuck the very last bit of cord into the weave itself. Make final adjustments to close gaps and beautify the decorative pattern. The third and final rope armor pattern is the Warlock weave. I created it and named it after myself. I created it because I wanted a quicker and easier pattern than the Rosebud weave. I based it on the magic trick of pulling a rope through the neck. In this video, I use about 13 feet of braided 550 paracord with a loop secured on the end. Any cord will do, and a slip knot can be used instead of a loop. You will also need a chopstick or pole of some kind to secure loops until the locking cord can be placed through them at the end of the weave. Begin by passing the cord through the loop and securing it to the wrist. Wrap the cord around the wrist and loop it around the chopstick. Return back in the opposite direction and loop it into the first loop, securing it with the replaced chopstick. Return back to the other side and pass the working end under the first loop before holding it temporarily with the chopstick. Continue the pattern, making adjustments as you go until there is just enough cord to reach from the bottom to the top of the whole weave. Once you have reached the point of having only enough working end to pass from the bottom to the top of the weave, pass the working end under the previous loop couple and then into all loops, replacing the chopstick. This is your locking cord to the quick release pattern. And that completes this tutorial on 3 different kinds of rope armor. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.